And you might get a little message that you have to check OK. So we're going to be recording this, so it will live on our YouTube channel later, and you guys can check it out further if you want to revisit this information. So Lauren Sham is the owner of GYROTONIC SUNARA, a fitness and wellness center. She has experience working with athletes, dancers, people who have had strokes, and people with Parkinson's, also people with osteoporosis, joint replacements, and those working towards overall health and improved posture. Lauren, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Lauren Sham, and I'm really honored to do this presentation and share some of my experience and hopefully be able to help somebody get to some joy in their life and maybe be able to do something they haven't been able to do. Um, I'm going to tell you about neuromotor exercise for treatment of Parkinson's symptoms. And I'm going to use an exercise modality called gyrotonic, and you can see it on the screen. And if you sound it out, that's exactly how you say it, which is gyrotonic. Gyro means circular, and tonic means toning. So there's a lot of circular motions in the exercise, and you get nice, long, toned muscles from the exercise. All right. So okay, that's me. We already gave you a bio, so we'll skip that. So I'm just going to jump right in and go through a review of the motor symptoms, meaning your movement part of your body, symptoms of Parkinson's. And you have your bradykinesia, which is your movements becoming slower and smaller, rigidity, where the muscles become bound and resist movement, and postural instability. We kind of do a little bit of this leaning forward posture, and also leads to falls and things like that. So you all probably know these symptoms, but how do they affect you? Because the muscles are losing the ability to function in concert, meaning all together at the same time in the most efficient way possible, this leads to chronic pain and discomfort and ultimately increases your fall risk. So when things don't work properly together, it doesn't feel good in our bodies, and it becomes painful and uncomfortable. So the non-motor symptoms are, the mental, the mind, and our moods. Those sort of symptoms are just as important to treat for quality of life. And some of them are apathy, which is not caring about much, neither experiencing joy nor sadness, depression, dementia, breathing and respiratory difficulties, and fatigue. So mind-body exercise is exercise. I'm going to give you this definition because it's going to kind of come throughout the presentation. Mind-body exercise treats these non-motor symptoms, and mind-body exercise is exercise that combines mental focus, controlled breathing, and movement to improve physical and mental well-being. And this category of exercise helps treat the non-motor symptoms of Parkinson's. And some examples of mind-body exercise are yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, Qigong, and gyrotonic. That is not an exhaustive list of some of the examples. And we'll come back to that later on in the presentation. Okay, so why is neuromotor exercise indispensable for the treatment of the symptoms of Parkinson's disease? To answer this, I want to talk about a phrase you may be familiar with, which is use it or lose it. I'm sure most of you have heard that before. This is used to remind us to use our brains for thinking and our bodies for movement. Otherwise, the skills fade away. So you want to keep using your body and you want to keep using your mind, and that those exercises will keep them both strong. In regards to dementia treatment, there is a concept called cognitive reserve. And the idea is that if an individual remains mentally active through activities like mahjong, volunteering, creating, mentoring, as they age, they will retain more use of their brains. So similarly, for prevention and treatment of Parkinson's, there is a concept called movement reserve. And people in this concept states that people with better movement patterns and a longer history of moving their bodies tend to resist or slow the disease compared to sedentary people. And there's, at the end of the presentation, there's a list of sources, but there's a book that I used for some of the resources, and it's called Outlive. And the author of this book states that exercise is the only intervention shown to delay the progression of Parkinson's. So that's a nice little plug for exercise there from a medical doctor. Okay, we're going to go on. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what neuromotor exercise is, because that's a really, fancy word. I want to touch on the fact that it's one of the official categories of exercise recommended by the American College of Sports Medicine. The 4 categories you can see on your screen, but the first one is resistance, basically with weights. There are examples below there of, certain kinds of weights that you can use to build resistance and strengthen your muscles. The second one is cardiorespiratory, and that's for your heart and your lungs. The third is flexibility. And finally, neuromotor exercise is the last one. And this is exercise that specifically trains the nervous system and the muscles to improve motor skills like balance, coordination, agility, and reaction time. It also tends to be the most fun kind of exercise, in my opinion, because you have multiple things going on. It's not two-dimensional. You're not really having a conversation with somebody beside you while you're doing it. You're really involved in it and acting in it and kind of living in the moment. And to me, that is fun. Neuromotor exercise can also be referred to as dual tasking exercise. And that, I think I allude to that a little bit later in the presentation. So I just wanted to make that note. It's the same thing. And examples of neuromotor exercise are Pilates, dance, Zumba, pickleball, tennis, rock climbing, ping pong, Tai Chi, and gyrotonic and gyrokinesis. Of course, not an exhaustive list, but kind of, I wanted to throw some different things in there to get people thinking about maybe some of the things that they would enjoy that are not dance or Pilates. And I also want to say rock climbing. I have a colleague in Sarasota, and they own a rock climbing gym, and they are working on adaptability for people with Parkinson's. And she was talking about the studies that have been done that talk about how beneficial rock climbing is for people with Parkinson's. So just kind of one of those little tidbits that I pick up in our community and like to share that with you. Okay, so moving on. So characteristics of neuromotor exercise is a constantly changing environment, like when you're playing pickleball. The other players are moving, the ball is moving, and you are moving. Second, the movements are continually adapted, meaning it's not repetitive. So staying with the pickleball example, you have to move left, you have to move right, you have to move up, you have to move down and on your diagonals. So you're constantly changing your body position relative to the other players. The third is that it's externally placed or externally paced. You can play at the speed of other players. You can't just decide in the middle of a game to slow down and, play at 50% because your partner's not going to like that, and neither are the people on the opposite team. Fourth characteristic of neuromotor exercise is that it is dual tasking. This means there are many things going on at once. Your attention is constantly tracking the location of the other players, the ball, the court boundaries, and the net. So that is one example of neuromotor exercise. So is neuromotor exercise better than physical exercise alone? And the answer is yes. Combined data from 20 randomized controlled studies with 2,667 participants found that it was better than physical exercise alone, and that it improved cognition in older participants. So some specific benefits of neuromotor exercise for Parkinson's are improved balance, improved gait, which is how you walk, increased stride length, which will mitigate the smaller steps brought on by the Parkinson's disease. It'll strengthen your postural muscles, improve flexibility, and ultimately these improvements contribute to decreasing falls. And this isn't a presentation about falls, but I think it's kind of common knowledge that we want to be able to avoid falls as much as possible to keep our quality of life. An additional benefit is the sense of well-being and fulfillment that results from neuromotor exercise, which is also mind-body exercise, which leads me to my next slide. These pictures are kind of small. Let me make sure, where am I? So this is where I'm going to talk about gyrotonic exercise, to use as an example of neuromotor exercise, because that's my specialty. Gyrotonic exercise was invented by Julio Horvath. He was a professional dancer that had a career-ending injury. Gyrotonic exercise is strength, mobility, and flexibility training, and it has roots in swimming, Tai Chi, dance, and yoga. We have a video next, so I don't really have to go through these pictures. But this one up here is a leg extension unit, and down here is an archway. And then this one is a jumping stretching board. And over here, we have some mat work. There's stool. You can sit on a stool and do some mat work, which we'll see at the end of the presentation. We'll do some spinal motions. And then over here is, to the right, is the main piece of equipment, which is called a pulley tower. And next, I have a video to show you how some of these things look while they're moving. So these are the pulley towers. See, there's little weights here. And yeah, and then the leg extension unit. Here we have another pulley tower. On this one, I'm just going to pause for a second. Okay. On this one, I want to point out, so this is the jumping stretching board. You can actually lay down on this and use this pad here to press your feet up against it and do like single leg work and lower leg work, which is really good for balance. So what I want you to see here, though, is the emphasis on the 3D and the circular and spiraling movements. Oh, let me back it up just a little. Will it do it? It will. No, maybe it won't. And then we have some floor work. We'll do it. We'll look at it one more time. So everything is about having a mobile spine, a healthy spine that moves and is strong, supported from the pelvis and the core going up the spine. So that's where all the movement comes from. Okay. So next, I want we're going to talk about what makes gyrotonic exercise such a unique and valuable form of neuromotor exercise. It's articulated spinal movement. Mobility in the spine is important for function as all of your limbs and your central nervous system are attached. And all those vessels go through the spine. So you want your spine as healthy as it can be because it really is the central point of your body. Articulated spinal movement, joint decompression. So the equipment is a pulley system. So when you move, it moves. It's not just an anchored point where you're fighting against the weight. So you're able to do work to actually create space in between your vertebrae. And that's where the better posture comes from as you strengthen your spine. Synchronization of breath with movement is really important. When you synchronize your breathing with your movement, all of your core muscles work the way that they're supposed to. It is intentional, so you're thinking about what you're doing. Stability through contrast is another point. Circularity, you have continuous and flowing movements. And then, I do what I do for a living because it brings me joy. And one of the principles of gyrotonic is exercise should be a creative and delightful experience, which Julia Horvath said. A little point on the joint decompression. As we age, our joints become compressed and they degenerate due to arthritis and wear and tear. This results in back and other joint pain and discomfort, and these also affect function. My favorite principle is stability through contrast, and I'd like you to experience how it feels. This is not the movement section where you have to be ready to move your arms, but just a little sensing exercise. I want you to just take a moment and observe your posture in your chair. What is your head position? Are you looking slightly up? Are you looking slightly down? Is it maybe tilted to the side? Are your shoulders forward, maybe, or nice and wide? Is your spine, your back, is it straight or is it curved forward or is it maybe arched back? Again, you're just noticing where your position is. Are your tummy muscles engaged or is your lunch just kind of hanging out there? Take your attention to your glutes, to your bottom, your seat. Are you sitting with more weight on one side than the other, or maybe one hip is more forward than the other? Next, I want you to bring your focus to your feet. Are they both placed firmly on the floor and weighted equally? If not, and as long as your balance is stable enough to do so, I want you to shift your seat forward so that you can get your feet equally on the floor. Now we'll give a moment for anybody who's game to try it. So you've moved forward so that you can get your feet equally on the floor. It doesn't matter what kind of chair you're in. And I want you to perch on the edge of your seat on your butt bones. So what we've just done by just shifting you to where your feet can touch the floor is we've grounded your feet, which creates stability in your skeleton to support your body. So now that we've grounded and created stability, let's rescan your skeleton. Take a moment and observe your posture in your chair. What is your head position? Now that you're grounded, is it up or down, or is it more upright and balanced on your spine? Are your shoulders slumped forward, or are they nice and wide as you press your feet into the floor? Is your spine straighter than it was? Are your abdominal muscles maybe a little more engaged than they were when you were just hanging out in your chair? Take your attention to your bottom, your glutes. Are you sitting with more weight on one side than the other, or are you more equally placed? So hopefully you felt that your posture had improved after this exercise. And you can move back to sit comfortably in your chairs, or you can keep your beautiful upright posture for the remainder of the presentation. It's not that much longer. So that's stability through contrast. The contrast of pressing your feet into the floor helps you lift your skeleton through the crown of the head and straightens you out and gives you better posture. Why is gyrotonic good for Parkinson's disease specifically? It is low impact, meaning it's gentle on your joints. The movement and the equipment is adaptable to all bodies and abilities. If you think back to the video, I had men, women, athletes, non-athletes, ages from 43 to 80. So it really can be used for any age and any body type, level of fitness or level of no fitness. Traditional gym equipment is heavy and can be compressive, whereas gyrotonic equipment is light and supportive. It's more like a partner in your movement versus something for you to fight against. It moves with you. The focus on breath can help with respiratory issues present in Parkinson's disease. And because of the mental focus required by the movement, you learn more awareness of your body's movements, and this improves your control over your body. The more you understand your body and the way that it works and how you move, and unique to you because we're all very different, the better you're going to be able to meet what life throws at you, if it happens to be Parkinson's disease or dementia or something else. Because if it's not that, it'll be something else. We all have our share of things challenges we're gonna have health-wise, and the more you know about your body and how it works, the better off you'll be. So how does gyrotonic help treat your core symptoms? The flowing circular movements help treat the rigidity brought on by Parkinson's. The emphasis on connecting one movement to the next combats the bradykinesia. Your balance is improved due to core and posture work. And there are exercises that help you pick up your feet for improved gait. And Carol is doing one right now in this picture. The unique equipment utilizes the wrist, hand, and fingers, which helps to mitigate the small cramped handwriting due to microphagia. The breath work improves control over volume and swallowing. And as a result of performing mind-body exercise, you can expect an alleviation of depression or anxiety. And who doesn't want that? So things to consider if you're going to integrate neuromotor exercise into your program. You want to choose a form of neuromotor exercise that sounds interesting to you. And you can refer back to some of the examples I listed. You're more likely to be successful in an exercise program if you can find something that you enjoy doing. Also of importance is the collaboration between your healthcare professionals on your behalf. For example, I will sometimes ask to speak to a client's massage therapist, their physical therapist, their personal trainer, the PAs. I don't know that a doctor has ever talked to me. It's usually the PA. But I do this in certain situations because I want to make sure that my client, which I also call them students, are receiving the best care. So for example, I had a woman who had pelvic floor dysfunction, and I wanted to make sure that the cues that I was giving her to activate her core were on the same page as what her physical therapist was giving her when she went to physical therapy. And so I had a little chat with her, and just to make sure we were on the same page. And it is okay and welcomed if your healthcare providers and your instructors are really invested. They will be interested in learning more and having a conversation on your behalf with your permission. I also will occasionally read, not the actual picture of the MRI, I can't do that, but the results of an MRI or the DEXA scans, which is for osteoporosis, to help a client understand what the results mean as far as their exercise program is concerned. Sometimes when we get results from tests from doctors, they don't always deliver them to us in ways that we can understand. And then what does that translate to for, your exercise program? Are there things you shouldn't be doing? Are there things you should be doing? So I will also, if somebody's willing to share them, I will look at those kind of reports for my clients or students to make sure that they really understand why they're doing what they're doing, what symptoms they're trying to improve. Next, your instructors should establish a baseline of your fitness level and create a program for you and your unique needs. This is done by asking about your past and present activity and lifestyle and any injuries, surgeries, or diagnoses. So that's another important thing, especially if you're working one-on-one with somebody or even in a small group training. Your qualified fitness professional should be asking you about your history, so that they can make sure that they're giving you the appropriate exercises, and also the appropriate language to talk to you uniquely, because we're also very different. There are various ways in which you can participate in neuromotor exercise. In the case of something like gyrotonic, depending on your situation, you may choose individual sessions, which of course you get the most attention. Duets, meaning two people, which is fun to do with a friend, maybe not spouses always. Groups with equipment or without. These are nice because they are an affordable option and you can create community. But groups can be inappropriate for somebody who needs a lot of support, maybe physical support, like maybe they're in the later stages of Parkinson's or they had a really bad stroke. So sometimes the group is just too hard. But I want to touch on the community. When you do groups and create community, it's really important. We do better when we ask for help, and we live better quality lives and more joyful lives when we feel connected to our community. So that's really, really important. Whatever program you choose, you want to gradually increase the intensity and the complexity, and small increases over time. With small increases over time, injuries are prevented and deep learning occurs. I want to touch on that real quickly. All movement instructors are different, but in my own personal experience, instead of coming right out of the gate and trying to hit some really big goals, I find that consistent and moderate application over time in an exercise program leads to the body adapting better, less injuries, and it's also more enjoyable. The only thing about that is sometimes it takes a little bit longer for people to see some really huge results, but ultimately movement and exercise, the more they become part of a lifestyle, the better off the person will be, instead of like this thing you have to go and do every Tuesday and Thursday morning and you're dreading it. Okay, so we're going to take a movement break, and this is where you're going to sit in your chair and we'll do some spinal motions, and you want to have enough space around you to maybe bring your arms up without smacking anything. And I'm gonna switch. So I'm gonna pause my share, right, April?
Well, sorry about that. Yes, you can go ahead and stop sharing for a moment so
Okay.
your picture is bigger. And in the meantime, everybody can get ready with their feet flat on the floor. Oh, you didn't stop sharing yet.
Oh, it says resume share.
Okay, I'm not sure why. Let me just do something with the screen here and see if we can do this better. Nope. It's not letting me, it's only letting me see you as a very, very small picture. So it's not letting you stop share.
Well, it says it stopped sharing because the only option is for me to resume share. Let's try this. Oh, you know what?
There we go. There we go.
I paused sharing. They're
Okay,
different.
we got it now. Okay, there we go. Okay, everybody should see Lauren now. She is the front screen. There we go.
Okay. So you're going to move to the edge of your chair and you're going to sit up tall on your sit bones, your little bicycle bones. And then you're going to walk your feet out and you want your ankles slightly in front of your knees. So don't have your heels behind your knees. You want to walk those toes out so you have a nice grounded position. And then you're going to sit up tall. You're going to take your shoulders up by your ears, inhale. And then exhale, reach them down. One more, inhale. And exhale, reach them down. Then you're going to take your hands and you're going to rub them together, creating some friction. You get the backs of the hands and in between the fingers, really creating some heat. Not that we really need that here in Sarasota, but all right. Then you're going to bring that to stillness and you're going to start to draw your hands apart. And in between your hands, you may notice that there's some energy running between your fingers, the balls of the pads of the hand. So this is your little chi ball. Chi, like qigong. Chi is life force. You're going to take an inhale. You're going to expand your little ball of energy. And then you're going to exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Then you're going to take your little ball of energy. You're going to wash it onto your face. Don't worry about your glasses. Just go around them into your hair. You're going to bring your arms up to lift the spine up. Keep the spine tall as your arms go down by your sides. Good. And you can put them on your thighs. And then we're going to go into an arch and a curl. These are the basic spinal motions that make up gyrotonic work. And arch, and I'll show you from the side. Arch, center, curl, and center. Two more. Arch, center, curl, center. Arch with an exhale. Center, curl, center. Next, we're going to go into spirals. So again, lift up tall through the spine. Take your hips, rib cage, eyes around, and back to center. And inhale. Exhale to center. Inhale. Exhale to center. Inhale. Exhale to center. Inhale. Exhale to center. Inhale. And exhale to center. So the next one is a side arch. So again, you're going to elevate your spine. And then I want you to put your hands on your rib cage and see if you can just move your rib cage side to side. This might be very foreign to some of you. Yeah. And you're going to shift your rib cage over to your left and you're going to tilt your head to the right. And then back to center. You're going to shift your rib cage over to the right and tilt your head to the left and back to center. And shift and center and shift. I'll do one more each side just in case you haven't gotten it yet. And we're crossing our midline here, which is why sometimes this is challenging. Good. And then back to center. So next you're going to go into a wave. And that starts with your arch. And you're going to wave forward. Put your hands on your thighs. Make sure your feet are in front of your ankle, your knees. And then you're going to curl back. Yeah, this way you don't fall over when you arch forward. And curl back. And arch forward. And curl back. All right, so that is a wave. Now you're going to take your hands, palms up. Okay, you're going to take your left palm and put it facing downward. Good. Now just for giggles, swap your hands. Make sure we got that. Swap, swap, swap. Good. Now your left arm is going to go up, your right arm is going to go down. Palms are facing forward. Then you're going to switch to the other diagonal. Palms are still facing forward. Then you're going to press to shoulder height, shoulder width. Now your right hand is palm down and your left hand is palm up. And then we switch. Palms face forward. Switch to the other diagonal and center. And up. Diagonal. Diagonal. And center. Yeah, and one more. Diagonal, diagonal, and center. Now you can bring both palms to face down. You're going to take an inhale. And then switch. Palms, scoop the air. Exhale through center. And lastly, you're going to gather all that energy you just threw around your room. And then you're going to press it down through the centers in your spine. The crown of the head, the forehead, your throat, heart, solar plexus, abdominals, and pelvic floor. So hopefully you finished seated up really, really tall and you got some nice stretches in your spine that you're not used to getting. And I think I have 2 more slides and you'll be all done. Okay, so I'm going to go back to here. And go back to sharing.
That was great.
Well, it was really nice that I could see you, so I could at least see one person.
Yeah, you could see me doing it.
It's always strange giving a presentation and you can't see faces.
I know. It's hard when we do these webinars like that too. But this does allow us to record it and get it out there without having individuals compromised. Okay, so you have a couple more slides and we're going to talk a little bit more and then we're going to answer questions.
All right, so a few takeaways. How do I get there? Let me go here. We're on this one. Okay, so I hope you learned some things, such as that neuromotor exercise is indispensable for treatment of Parkinson's symptoms. It is a holistic approach to addressing motor and non-motor symptoms, and we want both for quality of life. It is essential for improved mobility, balance, and overall well-being. And then, of course, I have to say, it's never too late to get started with exercise, but the earlier the better. Exercise has a compounding good effect on the health of your body, like compound interest when you're saving for retirement or other things. So don't wait, get started, make sure you're moving. And that is it. We have a thank you and some sources. So.
Well, that was Very, very good, Lauren. Thank you so much for presenting this to us today. This was, I have some takeaways, but let's first let the other folks that have questions in here and ask their questions. So let me go read them to you.
Okay.
Okay, first question. The video shows what seems to be a very aggressive, which seems to be very aggressive exercises. Are there many older folks that can handle these exercises?
Hmm. This is Carol. Carol is 80. Uh, and she's at the end. So yes, your answer is yes.
Okay. So, in my opinion, it seems like it would be rather appropriate for older individuals. And when I say older, maybe we're talking, 60 and above. It seems very appropriate for that age group. Although I think anyone would benefit from this.
Yes. They're the two, so this this person is an athlete, that person is an athlete. So no, a 70-year-old with Parkinson's is not going to come in and do that. They're going to do something else. These are just videos that show the capability of the equipment. I have 80-year-olds that can do this. Did they start doing it when they came in? No, but this is very gentle here. She's stretching her back. And then she is also an athlete in her 50s. So, the idea was to show, and then over here, she's definitely not, 20. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Are you able to share the name of the rock climbing gym in Sarasota?
I am. It's called Project 24.
Okay. Project 24. I know that there is one in Tampa or St. Pete.
Yes, they are all buddies.
Cool.
Not owned
Um,
by the same people, but they all know each other.
uh-huh. Very good. Next question. Is everything on site or is there anything that can be done virtually?
These classes here can be done virtually. The gyrokinesis classes, the one that's on the screen right now.
Okay, so anything that doesn't involve the equipment.
Unless you have a pulley tower at home,
I'm
which
sure,
after you try it, you will want one.
yeah, that looks amazing. I would love one. Not enough space though. Is boxing a neuromotor exercise?
If you're maybe boxing with another person, I don't. I mean, I think with a standalone or even the punching bag, that doesn't sound like many. That doesn't sound like your environment is changing. Like you can just go to town. So I would say no, unless you're boxing with an opponent.
Mhm. Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we know how important it is for mind body exercises. And just hearing the word, neuromotor, it really makes me think about each specific exercise that we recommend for people to do. And I'm thinking now, like, which ones are really neuromotor? And I think you had a slide, maybe you could go back to it, that listed
Hmm.
some of the ones that are
Hmm.
mostly neuromotor or considered neuromotor. Um, and I guess it's mainly because they incorporate the four components, which would be resistance training, I think balance is one of them, flexibility, and
Yeah,
cardiovascular.
they do tend to incorporate all of those.
Hmm.
It's not a requirement, but they do because that's, by the nature of what they are. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I have like,
Pilates, dance,
mhm.
Zumba, pickleball, tennis, rock climbing, ping pong, Tai Chi, and gyrokinesis and gyrotonic. And it's so funny because when we were just doing that chair exercise class, the first thing that came to my mind was Tai Chi. And it
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
felt like that to me. And I can see how that would be so appropriate for any individual, whether they're compromised with some type of chronic illness or just older in nature. I think it would be appropriate.
Yeah, and it also depends, I've met 42-year-olds with Parkinson's. They can, they can play tennis and ping pong and stuff like that. It's early onset. Or I had a client recently who was diagnosed and she's 59 and she's been a fitness person her whole life. So it really, I'm sure I am not a tennis person or any, those things, but I'm sure there are instructors out there who are appropriate for the population.
Yeah.
You just have
And
to.
this is just so much safer, it seems to me, because we've had people who want to go try pickleball. They want to go, do some of these rock climbing things. But if you can get the same benefits of those exercises with gyrotonic, then it seems like it's a safer alternative just because of the gentle nature of it, the low impact, the safety factor that you may not have a fall because you're going to be so much more supported with the equipment.
Mhm.
I don't know. To me, it just seems like safer.
It also depends on what people like, right?
Yeah.
Like my husband loves pickleball. I have zero interest. So that's why there's so many different kinds of exercise, because there's so
Yeah,
many different personalities.
exactly. Let's see. Another question is, often boxing trainers use pads to hit and also they move around at the same time. Yes.
Okay, well, it sounds like somebody knows more about boxing than I do.
Yeah. I think because boxing does cross the midline and often there is a lot of movement, maybe that's what
Oh,
they're saying.
well, and also because that's one of the yes, right. It's so this presentation is not to say that somebody shouldn't be doing rock steady boxing or pedaling with Parkinson's or any of those things. That is not what that is not the point at all. Be doing the exercise that you enjoy, and you benefit from like any kind of exercise.
Yeah.
This is my specialty.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not saying that people shouldn't. And the LSVT big program, which is called something else now, all good, great things. Don't stop doing them.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. And we tell our folks that too when they ask, well, what's the exercise we're supposed to be doing when we have Parkinson's? And the answer is any exercise.
Anything.
It's anything. It's just called
Any
move. Move your
Right.
body.
So, yeah. And at the end of the presentation, which is why I kind of made those points, like things to look for. Do you enjoy it? Is your instructor qualified? Will they ask questions on your behalf? Do they understand Parkinson's? So, so also some tips to find the thing that works for, them.
Another takeaway is that you mentioned micrographia, which is, such an issue sometimes for people, and they don't know exactly how to treat it other than going and getting occupational therapy or
Mhm.
having a micrographia class or something. But this is nice that your exercises actually do address strengthening the hands and the wrists. So I like that.
Yes, and thank you for now I know how it's pronounced. Um, yeah, the the grip strength is really important in general, and then your dexterity in your fingers and wrists. I mean, that's how you have some of the independence we have in life to keep doing, to cook, to drive, to put on makeup, to trim your beard, whatever it is. We really want that, and something like gyrotonic uses the whole body. I am constantly saying to people, more energy in your hands,
Yeah.
or align your wrist all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right, another question is, where can I get involved? Where can I get the virtual classes? Hmm.
There,
Do you offer some virtual classes?
yes, I do. I do. And there's also like so on my website, you can find the information for the virtual classes. I'm pretty sure that my email address is on the front page and the last page too, I think, of this. So
Right,
that's,
right. Good. Yeah. So on your website, we'll be able to find any of your class information. And
yeah,
then I have another question here. Are those ellipse pedalers right for people with Parkinson's?
ellipse pedaler.
Are you familiar with what that is? Like the ellipsis?
Like the
Um,
ellipticals?
I think so. Is that what you mean, Dennis? I think that was your question. Is that what you mean? Elliptical machine? Or is that something you have in gyrotonics?
Is it one of these things? Like this
Oh,
one?
maybe that's what he means. Maybe he'll answer again. Dennis, give us an answer
Maybe this one?
if you think it was one of these machines, or is it something from your own gym that you just are questioning? Let us know. And then I have a question for you, Lauren. Is this similar to somatic therapy? Are some of these moves related?
Probably, because everything is related to everything.
Yeah,
I haven't, I mean, somatic means of the body, and
yeah.
therapy is therapy. So, you know, gyrotonic can be very deep uh, work, and so there is also a whole healing aspect to
Hmm.
it. You know, it does have roots in Tai Chi and yoga. So, and there's a lot of information in the teacher trainings that come from, you know, fascial release, myofascial release,
Hmm.
and yeah, there is a whole energetic aspect to it that could be dived into.
So
Dove into.
nervous system regulation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. It feels that way to me. I just wanted to confirm that it sort of has a
Yes.
somatic feel
Yep.
to it. Yes.
A- Absolutely.
Hmm. And then you were talking about something called the movement reserve, and I just want to revisit that before we leave off today. Yes, the movement reserve is what we're left with after we do an exercise program, right? So after we do something that's exercise based, there's a reserve in our body that keeps us going a little bit with the energy. And I think that's what you're talking about, or is there something else that you can explain to me about the movement reserve?
So, movement reserve is more about the movement patterns in our body. So, somebody who has spent um, somebody who has spent a lot of time boxing, we'll go with that, right? Well, a pattern that's going to be really in their body is a forward facing, don't judge my form. Again, I'm not a boxer, but it's going to be forward facing. Their shoulders are, you know, they're going to know how to push and face forward and be kind of in this position. That's going to be very comfortable in their body. So even so, if somebody studies something for 10 years and then they leave it for a while and they come back, they kind of can naturally get back into the places that the positions that they're and the movements that their body was familiar with, because the body remembers. And so if one has spent their life exercising and working on agility and core strength, they're gonna they have a bigger bank account of movement that later they can use for a different quality of life after retirement. Does that kind of
Yes. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking of it more as some people tell me with when they have, an exercise program. These are people with Parkinson's. They'll go do an exercise routine, say for 45 minutes, and then they're able to like bank up and store that energy so they have better movements, more fluid movements throughout the day, less stiffness and rigidity. I was thinking of it as that, not per se what their body remembers about the movement. So, but I like that you
Yeah.
explained it that way. Thank you.
So, and another way that I have felt this in my own body is I had a hip surgery and I wasn't allowed to walk for 4 weeks. I wasn't allowed to put any weight on my leg. And so I had to figure out how to get around my house and just do daily living things. And that was really, really challenging. And I had to move really slowly. And I had to think about where I was placing my hands, where I was placing my left leg. What was I going to sit on to get over there? For 4 weeks is a really long time.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me how important it is. Like, I'm very comfortable and I know my body very well, so I could do these things pretty safely. But if somebody had a surgery and they're maybe a little bit older and they've never worked on agility or putting weight on their hands or standing on one leg, what happens then? Then you are stuck in a recliner for 4 weeks. And if somebody is 75 years old and stuck in a recliner for 4 weeks, it's going to take a long time, a lot longer to recover from that. So movement reserve is all of the skills and the things I've learned and they stay with you so that you have for later.
Okay, good, good. That makes a lot more sense to me. Yeah, I mean, we're always telling people movement is medicine, right? So you just have to keep moving so that your body is always remembering those different movements and building strength and building balance as you go. Well, this was really great. We have two final questions and then we're gonna sign off. So let's see. The pedally, Dennis answered the pedally thing that goes under the desk. So maybe this is not something that you're having on your slides, but maybe those things that you see people like a physical therapist might give somebody, it's like a pedal, and you put it under your desk. So he's asking if that is appropriate for people with Parkinson's.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Right. And
My mom
another
has
question. Oh, go ahead.
dementia and she has one. She had a
Yeah.
stroke, and so her exercise daily is to sit down and pedal her bike.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a little cardio and it's doing something for your muscles. All right, this person says, sounds good. How about NeuroChallenge offers it as a virtual class suggestion? Well, I might be able to partner with Lauren on something like that. We'll look at those options.
Does nobody drive anymore?
I know, right? It's so funny because we tried to do away with some of our virtual programming and like get more in the community and more in-person things. And then we heard like clamoring for more virtual programs again. So we started bringing them back again. It's interesting. I think people just got very comfortable with having those options and not leaving their house when they don't feel like it. So yeah.
It is a nice option to be able to have.
Absolutely. Well, Lauren, this has been a really good presentation. I'm so excited to be able to, put this on our YouTube channel and for it to be out there for people to discover. I think this is a really great exercise option, especially for people with Parkinson's who are struggling with maybe keeping up with a faster paced exercise program that's out there. And also because I think this is, like you said, dealing with all the neuromotor components that are so important to our mind, body, overall wellness, and a holistic approach. So thank you again for your time, Lauren. And those of you who want to learn more about her practice and her gym, you can go to her website, which is GYROTONICSUNARA.com. And always reach out to NeuroChallenge if you have any other questions, and we can also just give you her contact information. Anonymous attendee just said, thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you. And thanks, Lauren. It was great to talk with you.
Thank you.
All right. You take care. Bye.